What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you another update post-Alliance Insight. This time it is the turn of Ancient Fairy Dragon. That's right, another classic 5Ds deck has now got a modernized update to make it a fully playable deck of its own. I'm going to take you through the profile, show you what we've got, explain why we've got it, and at the end of the video I'll also show you a very basic one-card combo that shows you what this deck can do and how it wants to get ticking with as minimal resource as possible. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Diving head first into this, we're going to start off with the brand new Ancient Fairy cards, being Regulus the Fairy Beast. This card is actually really important for the deck. So on normal or special, you get to add a spell or trap that mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon from the deck to the hand. During the main phase, you get to special on a level 4 or lower light monster, beast, plant, or fairy from the hand in defense position. You can also banish this card from the graveyard to target a field spell in your graveyard, place it on the bottom of the deck, and then draw one card. You can only use each effect once per turn. Now, you would actually be able to go through all of these effects in one turn. You do need to be very careful of this because this is going to be your ideal starter, which does mean it's going to be the ideal bait for every particular type of hand trap, whether it be Ash, Veiler, Imperm, you name it. The worst ones to be hit with will be ones that negate the full effects like Imperm and Veiler. Ash, not so much, as you may have already hard opened up the field spell or the monsters that you're trying to search with the field spell to get to this card. So it is very important. There are builds that are playing Small World around if you want to go down that route. There are builds that also play Lone Fire Blossom. I've personally chosen a different route that I'll explain as we go through it, just to give you a bit more of an option and a bit more versatility. So the card you're going to want to be special summoning from the hand with your Regulus is the brand new Spore, the Fairy Seed. If this card is special, you get to count the number of monsters you control and have this card gain up to that many levels, which is great. The fact that it doesn't make you gain that exact amount of levels really does give you a bit of flexibility that even if you have an extra monster on the field, you can still maintain that with a Regulus and your Spore, you can increase this by 2 levels to make it a level 3 for a synchro of a level 7. Or if you have an additional monster, you can actually make it up to a level 8 to make it as a +3, so it'll be a level 4 and then make a synchro of a 4 as your Spore is the tuner. On top of that as well is if you control an Ancient Fairy Dragon or a light monster, which is beast, plant, or fairy, and this card is in the graveyard, you get to special summon it, but you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn that takes synchros, which is absolutely fine, and you can only use each effect once per turn. The other brand new card is the Cori the Cori Spirit. So if you control Ancient Fairy Dragon or a light monster, beast, plant, or fairy, again you get to special summon this card from the hand, and if you do, it is treated as a tuner. If another card or card you control that is Ancient Fairy Dragon or a monster that mentions it would be destroyed by card effect, you can return this card you control to the hand instead. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of that particular effect. I would have much rather this card have been in the graveyard and say return this card from the graveyard to the hand. Beautiful. I have no issue with a card like this being able to provide an effect like that for a deck like this. It's also a shame that it can't manipulate its levels. Yes, of course, being treated as a tuner can be quite useful, but when you look at your non-tuner, it only opens up the door for synchro level 5s, which unless you're going to be playing this in a synchron style deck for something like Junk Speeder, that's not really going to come up as effectively. Like, this deck wants to get into level 7s and level 8 synchros more consistently. Speaking of ways to get you into level 7s or 8s and technically 6s if you want to play the other one, being the the Dust Walker, I am on 3 Acasta, the Dawn Walkers, and 1 Fire Ant. Now I am playing this line instead of the Lone Fire Blossom. Now the Lone Fire Blossom is really good as an option to go into your Spore. It's one of the ones that if your Regulus does get stopped via Ash Blossom so you don't get access to the field spell and you haven't hard opened up the field spell, you can then still use this effect to special summon down the Lone Fire Blossom, tribute off the Lone Fire Blossom, and summon out the Spore. Personally, I feel that I'd much rather have the Acasta Dawnwalker, as that will still give me access to a synchro level 8. It allows me to discard a card if I wanted to play a revival spell instead, and it also gives me the ability to make an Omega, meaning that I can try to take away more of my opponent's hand traps than anything else. It also doesn't directly search as well, which can be very useful for being able to drag out certain hand traps, because you want to make sure that your first or your main search would be the one off of the back of the field spell to give you access to the Spore, as that's how you're going to be able to push your combos further forward, rather than being hit with a Draw and Lockbird early doors or for something like a Small World will pretty much end your turn. So it's the idea of why I've gone for the Acasta, because what your card you can go for is an Omega, nice and easy. It can also work its way into the Ancient Fairy Dragon of Life, and it can also work its way into a Axel Synchron Stardust Dragon, which with one of your level 1 tuners in the graveyard, being your Spore or being your, well, Koribon isn't a tuner, but being your Spore, you can actually revive it and then manipulate your levels should you wish to, and then that can allow you to work your way into a level 10 Synchro, because that can then bring back a level 1, adapt its level to make it a level 2. You could go into a Synchro level 11 if you wanted to, but it also opens up the door for a Disbatter, because you will have a dragon in the form of the Axel Stardust Synchron as well. Then we do play the additional Synchro-orientated cards, being Destrudo. The idea behind this deck is to get into level 7s and 8 Synchros, which is exactly what you want to be doing with a card like Destrudo. And it's also what you want to be doing with a card like Revolution Synchron. Now, I am playing the 1 tuning, which does kind of come together with this whole be very careful of Droll. You can play 3 Revolution if you want to. The reason for the 1 tuning is for that ability to deck fin that tiny bit. But the idea behind this one is with your Revolution Synchron in the hand, this gives you the ability to break fields by being able to Synchro with your Regulus, wherever it may be, going second into an Ancient Fairy, into a Black Rose Dragon, but it also gives you the ability to get into an Ancient Fairy Dragon, which in turn allows you to shuffle up your field spells. And some of the field spells we are playing here, unfortunately, are a little bit more defensive, but then some of them are going to be a little bit better to help you extend your combos, mainly trying to get you access to the Destrudo. Speaking of the field spells, we are playing 3 of the brand new World of the Spirits, or World of Spirits. So when this card is activated, you get to add a monster that mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon from the deck to the hand. You can only activate the following effects while you control a level 7 or higher Light Dragon Synchro. So it's the following effects, not the previous search effect. Each time a monster or monsters is special summoned in attack position, you change it to defense position. And then once per turn during the end phase, you destroy all attack position monsters on the player's field. You can only activate 1 World of Spirits per turn. So the idea is that you have this up, it can be very, very defensive, because it will shift all of your opponent's monsters to defense. It means they have to get rid of your Ancient Fairy Dragon first before they can start keeping their monsters in attack. It does mean their Link monsters will stay in attack, but if you're able to have this on the field active during your opponent's turn while they have Link monsters on the field, it will destroy them during that turn player's end turn. It does mean you have to be very careful, because if you leave any monsters in attack position during the end of your turn, it will destroy them, which is why you want to make sure they are being summoned in defense. The other field spells we are playing is the 1 Dragon's Ravine. The idea behind this one is that you can search this off of Ancient Fairy Dragon and destroy in your own World of Spirits. You don't need to worry about the end phase effect of this card. But this one then allows you to either add a level 4 or lower Dragoonity, which we're not going to be doing, but it can also send a Dragon monster from the deck to the graveyard. Speaking of Dragoonities, if you are worried about something like Nibiru or Droll, less so Droll because you do search quite a lot, is you can actually play the Dragoonity package that I've shown previously, which basically works its way into a Crystal Wing Dragon. You're already playing Crystal Wing. All it does is it opens up a couple of different slots in your extra deck to play more Dragoonity cards. You work your way into a Crystal Wing, and then that's before you've even used your normal summon, meaning that all of your summons for your Regulus will be ideally protected. So that is an option should you want to consider it. It does mean that if you were to go through your Regulus plays, you can work your way into the Ravine, and then work your way to add a Crystal Wing to your end field off of the back of a single card if you need to. The last field spell that we're playing is the 1 Chicken Game. The idea behind this one is just be having that defensive card to give you the ability to draw cards, to give the ability to make sure you don't automatically get destroyed the next turn. It's just another target that you can utilize. Because we are playing so many, well, 3 field spells, we do also play the 1 Set Rotation and the 1 Terraforming. Of course, the Terraforming does fall foul to Droll and Lockbird, as I've mentioned previously, but that is why we are maxing out on the World of Spirits, as that is the priority of the card you want to resolve first. Because if you're able to resolve your first search being the World of Spirits, it then means that your Regulus, you don't mind if it doesn't resolve its search, because you can still summon from the hand and you can still go into your Synchro plays. 1 Foolish Burial to help you get to Destrudo, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 1-for-1 as you have 2 level 1 monsters you want to try and get access to. And then we are playing Ready Fusion and Instant Fusion. The reason behind this again is just to kind of be a little bit more versatile depending on what your opponent is going to throw at you. Being able to play Instant Fusion and Ready Fusion allows you to open up the door for 2 targets in your extra deck that can help you either revive cards to move into your Synchro plays, or can just act as an additional tuner. So I'll quickly show you the 2 cards that we are talking about. We are talking about the Ojama Knight, and we are talking about the Albion, the Essence of Vanity. So the Ojama Knight is here being a beast, light, level 5, which can also be utilized for your Synchro plays. Massive shout out to Block 11, who I saw utilize this in their profile, and I thought that was a very, very good choice. There are ways of it, for the fact of it being beast could be very, very useful with some of your cards that say if you control a beast or you special summon a beast back from the graveyard, as long as it has been correctly fusion summoned, which these 2 cards do, you have that ability to do so, and that gives you an additional body on the field for your Synchro plays. The Albion Essence, and the one big thing about these being light and dark, can be quite useful getting access to your into your Chaos Angel should you want to be a little bit more aggressive. You can completely take out the Instant Fusion and Ready Fusion. You just add in more hand traps. For this particular version, I sacrificed Nibiru for them, but it's entirely up to you on which ones you choose. Carrying on with the main deck, we are playing the one Pot of Prosperity for a bit of consistency. I've decided to go for this over a Small World just because being able to get that range of 1 of 6 could be quite useful rather than having to neg 1 from the hand. It could be quite helpful for you. The last Ancient Fairy card we are playing is the Eternal Sunshine. So monsters you control gain 500 defense for each Ancient Fairy Dragon and monster that mentions it that you control. Once per chain, you get to target one face-up monster your opponent controls until the end of this turn. Its attack and defense become halves. Also, its effects are negated. You can use this effect of Eternal Sunshine a number of times up to the number of Ancient Fairy Dragons and or monsters that mention it that you control. You can work your way into controlling 2 at the base minimum. I will show you the combo on how you search this card out while you control 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon, and then you get to move on from that point on. So then for the hand traps, we are on 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. There we go. And I decided to go with the Bestials on this one, so 1 Bull Drake, Druid Swim, and Magnamute. The idea behind these 3 cards is that they're level 6 darks that can help you get into your synchro play should you want to, as what you need to remember is that Spore can manipulate its level. So that can open up the door for one of these plus Spore gets you a 7, can also get you into an 8. If you do have more monsters on the field, it can also work you into a 10, these being your dragons for your Dispatter play if you wanted to. The final hand trap is Triple Infinite Impermanence. Adapt the hand trap to your environment and what you have access to. If you wanted to take out the Bestials, you could also very easily put in Dominus Purge, and that could give you another strong hand trap to deal with your opponent's field. Moving on to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we are on 2 of the brand new Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. So this is generic level 8. If this card is synchro summoned, you can draw 1 card, or if World of Spirits is on the field, you can add 1 light monster, beast, plant, or fairy, or Eternal Sunshine from the deck to the hand instead. You can only use each effect once per turn. Your Ancient Fairy Dragon and monsters that mention it can attack while in face-up defense position. Apply their defense for damage calculation, which is why this works with Eternal Sunshine so good, as it already mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon, so that is your 1 card you'll need for that negate. So if you're able to get your Ancient Fairy Dragon on the field or any other monsters that will mention it, you'll be able to add more negates to that Eternal Sunshine. Speaking of which, we are playing 2 Ancient Fairy Dragon. You will go through this a lot more consistently in this particular build than in most. For those of you that are unfamiliar with this card, once per turn you get to special summon a level 4 or lower monster from the hand, but you can't conduct the battle phase the turn you activate this effect. Once per turn you get to destroy as many field spells on the field as possible, and if you do, gain 1,000 life points, and then you can add a field spell from the deck to the hand. The reason this is so important is if you do have to go through your field spell first to search out your Regulus and they stop you going in any way, you can still work your way into an Ancient Fairy Dragon and summon down said Regulus. I am playing the 1 Ancient Pixie Dragon just to kind of complete the trilogy of your Ancient Fairies. It can be quite useful that it is a dark as well, as that will give you your light and dark attribute you might need for a double strength Chaos Angel. This one is again generic level 7. After resolving a field spell card that was activated during this turn, you get to draw 1 card. You can only use this effect once per turn. And then once per turn, you get to target a face-up tap position monster on the field and destroy that target. There must be a face-up field spell card on the field to activate and resolve this effect, so it just gives you a nice aggressive option in comparison to the balance of the Ancient Fairy Dragon. For our other level 7, sticking with the 5Ds theme, we've got the 1 Black Rose Moonlight and the 1 Black Rose Dragon, so bounce and destroy. Then we have the 1 Dawn Dragster, the 1 Cully Belt, the Bladed Dragon. For our 8s, we have the Axel Synchro Stardust, Crystal Wing, and Psyframe Lord Omega, backed up by your 10s being the Bestial Dispatter and your Chaos Angel. Finishing up with the 2 fusion monsters for your Ready Fusion and Instant Fusion targets being the Ojama Knight and the Albion, as I've already previously mentioned, their effects and where they come into use. So that's it for the entire profile. Now, very simply what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom out the camera a little bit to show you the very basic 1-card combo that you can utilize in this deck. Now, the 1-card combo is relatively fragile, but what you need to remember is you're still going to have 4 more cards to play with. These is just showing you exactly what you can do with only your Ancient Fairy Dragon cards. So you start off by normal summoning the Regulus. On normal or special, you add a spell or trap from the deck that mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon, so you're going to add the World of Spirits. You're going to activate the World of Spirits in the field spell, and then when this card is activated, you get to add a monster that mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon from the deck. So you're going to activate that. This will then give you direct access to the Spore of the Fairy, as it does mention Ancient Fairy Dragon. You then use the effect of your Regulus the Fairy Beast to special summon the Spore down. Use Spore's effect to manipulate its level, increasing it by 2, making this a level 3. You can then synchro these two together. This will then get you direct access to your original Ancient Fairy Dragon, wherever it may be. You can use Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect to destroy the World of Spirits and then get you any field spell that you want. In this scenario, because I'm working with just what I have in my hand being absolutely one card and one card only, we'll just go for Chicken Game and pay 1,000 life points to draw a card. So whatever card you get, you've just added that to your hand. That is not the end of the turn because we still have the graveyard effect of the Spore. So if you control a monster, Ancient Fairy Dragon or a light monster being beast, plant or fairy, and this card's in the graveyard, you get to special summon it. Absolutely fine. And then you can synchro these two together again if you wanted to go into a Crystal Wing, but because we are going down the Ancient Fairy route, we're going to be going for our Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. You can now use the effect of the Ancient Fairy Dragon to draw you another random card. Now, if we were to choose not to gain our 1,000 life points or not to work us into a chicken game, just recycling it a little bit to keep the World of Spirits on the field, you would still make the exact same play, you just wouldn't use the Ancient Fairy Dragon's effect to destroy the field spell, and in turn, if you wanted to be a bit more aggressive, you could work your way into a Cully Belt, or of course go into an Ancient Pixie Dragon. Doesn't make much of a difference here. Keep in mind that you can only activate one World of the Spirits per turn, so even if you were to get a second one, you wouldn't be able to do that. The reason you keep this in the field spell is you'd activate the Ancient Fairy Dragon to directly search you, wherever it may be, your Eternal Sunshine. So you'd be able to set the Eternal Sunshine. You'll still have, technically, at this particular moment in time, 4 cards left in your hand. If you wanted to draw a card, by all means, you could do so instead, and that's when your chicken game would be a draw 2 instead. As you end your turn, what you have set up, if you've got Eternal Sunshine to give you this an additional 500 defense, it also gives you the ability to negate a card because you have one Ancient Fairy Dragon or a card that mentions Ancient Fairy Dragon. And then you have your World of Spirits, which puts all of your opponent's monsters into defense. And then during the end phase, anything that's left in attack will be destroyed. So keep in mind, you need to keep this in defense, otherwise it will get destroyed by its own effect. But you're still going to have 4 more cards to back this up with. And that's just your very baseline 1-card combo to help you utilize everything you're going to need for an Ancient Fairy Dragon style deck. Anyway, I hope this has given you a bit of an idea on your own build. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please let me know in the comments down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. This is a very fun design deck. It's not designed to be meta. It's not designed to topple the meta. I just think it's really, really nice to continue the 5Ds era decks by being able to make them all playable. Hopefully, the next one is going to be Power Tool to be its own deck outright. As you can see, that Black Wings we know is already a deck on its own. So is Synchrons, you've got TGs, Earthbounds technically are their own deck on their own. And then you also have the ability of now having an Ancient Fairy Dragon alongside Rose Dragons. So building up all of the Signer Dragons, Power Tool is the only one that I would love to see get some more support. And that'd be really, really kind of cool to see once it happens. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.